Looking good, Italian Job.
I am feeling good, genuinely feeling good, Tommy boy. How are you, man?
I am doing great. It's been a phenomenal week. It's my first week in a long time back in the gloom, admittedly, coming off of the IR. Muscled through a Tuesday workout, did a lot of stretching, and fired up for the weekend, heading up with my 2.0 to cheer her on at a grass volleyball tournament at my alma mater, Brevard College. So I cannot complain. And you, my friend, tell me something wonderful.
I'll tell you something wonderful. First off, the high country up around Brevard is absolutely stunning. And this time of year, for those who haven't been out there, it's July timeframe. There's some really awesome rhododendron blooming. You can ride mountain bikes through rhododendron tunnels. It's a beautiful area of the country. So if you need to go where it's a little bit cooler, go to the high country. Something good. I got to queue twice this week. I had a Monday beatdown that was as described as a snot woggler, which I thought was a great FNG name. So anybody listening who needs one, snot woggler would work. And then I queued a run boot camp yesterday. And it reminded me that we're all running a different race, different paces. And sometimes it's not about running the fastest. It's just spending time with the guys. So I didn't run my standard pace. Instead, I spent a lot of time in conversation, and it was the most enjoyable run I've had in a long time. So let's just remember that it's not, this isn't just about the first F. There's a lot of second and third F that needs to be involved, which ties in pretty nicely, dovetails with our guest today and what we're talking about. So Tommy boy, I'll toss it back to you and ask, who are we talking to and for what reason?
Yeah, this one's been a long time coming. A lot of the guys in F3 Nation, especially those on Twitter, are actually familiar with our guest today. They just may not know it. They've cheered these guys on from afar. They've supported some vision casting with these guys. You talk about running workouts, and we're all running different speeds, different directions, different races. This is one of the reasons I love these two guys, and I'm excited to have them on because we have an evening workout that started years ago on a Thursday night here in Greensboro, and it affords just a different opportunity to different men. It's a boot camp style workout, and oftentimes grown-ass men fight over who's going to hang out with one of our guests while the other guest gets to be just one of the guys. And we always cut up and have a great time. And before you know it, we get in a 600-700 calorie workout and didn't even realize it. So without further ado, we've got Mike Scolio, the King, and John Scolio, Gridlock, joining us from F3 Greensboro. Fellas, welcome to Stuff Worth Trying. How are you?
Thank you. We're doing well.
I'm doing good too.
Glad to have you. Mike, we will start with you. Give us your hospital name, your age, and your F3 handle, please.
Mascolio 38, the King.
The King. How'd you wind up with that name, the King?
Because I'm a big fan of Elvis Presley. And he's the king of rock and roll, king of F3.
I can attest to that. Yes, sir. And John, same deal. Hospital name, age, and F3 name.
John Scolio, 67, Gridlock.
Outstanding.
Gridlock, respect.
And tell us how you wound up with your name.
I used to work in Washington, D.C.
That'll do it.
Enough said. That name could have gone a lot of different ways. And the fact that they just referenced the traffic, I think, is a testament to your character. Well, fellas, we appreciate you coming on. I've known you guys for, over 5 years now. And a lot of memories. King, you and I have gotten in our fair share of trouble. You and I are both, I'm a closet and you're out in the open WWE super mega fan. We'll get into that a little bit too. But what we're going to talk a little bit about today, because we've scratched the surface on previous episodes about the 2.0 relationship, and specifically kids, right? The King is in his 30s. Gridlock is in his 60s. We've never really dove into the older 2.0 connection, father-son connection. And so we want to talk about that today. Tell us a little bit about, I want to start with you, Gridlock, actually. Kind of set the tone for how you found F3 and what it means to you. And then, King, we'll ask you the same question in a moment.
Okay. About a little over 5 years ago, a neighbor of mine who is also in F3 Renaissance, he came and told me about the F3 group and said he thought it'd be really good for Mike. Renaissance has a special needs daughter, and he's known Mike for, probably 10, 15 years now. And so after some hemming and hawing for a few weeks, we decided to try it. and he took us out there on June 14th, 2018. So the minute we got out there, we knew it was for us, especially for the King. The King is he's a man's man. He likes being with a bunch of guys. He likes talking trash and having fun and joking. And I mean, you know from personal experience. And he connected with them immediately, and the guys connected with him immediately. And I knew from the start that this was going to be good for him, and also good for me. So ever since then, he wants to go every week. I mean, he's got to go Thursday night. We are at F3 unless we're out of town or something like that. So it's become a thing with both of us since then.
Outstanding. Any special notes as a father, just to speaking to all the dads out there who are on the fence about inviting their older son out with them?
As a dad, what really touched me and impressed me was the way the F3 packs surround him, surround Mike, surround the King, and make him part of the group. He's not a kid tagging along with the guys. He is part of the group. They connect with him. They talk with him. They speak to him as if he were just somebody else. And that means a lot to us parents of special needs kids. What I also like is that King can be a little slow on the running part, and so he tends to fall behind. But somebody, you included, Corey, is coming around and taking up the slack with the King and bringing him in. So we bring him in as the sixth coming in. So I always felt that was good. No man left behind. I love that, and that I could see how you could see how beneficial it is when we practice that rather than just say it.
Yeah, I mean, not even to bury the lead, Thursday nights are my favorite workout, just because we like you just said, not only do we practice the credo, we live it out. And it's fun just to watch those guys fight over who gets to hang out with the King. King, Mr. the King of F3, but also the mayor, the unsung mayor of Greensboro, I would say. Cast back to your first workout and what since then F3 has meant to you.
Right. Well, like my dad said when we first started, I heard of a renaissance that was going to F3. I was a little nervous at first, but now I got used to it. Back then, I put on weight on way too much.
30 pounds.
30 pounds. Right. And when I got to a workout, including my own workout at home too, not just for F3, I really got into shape. And I remember hearing Apollo, David Long, and his initial friend Gary, he said, you gotta catch up. So I have a hard time. So the more I exercise every day, then I start losing weight. And these F3 guys really helped me to lose weight. And then fast forward, I lost a lot of weight. I cut back what I was eating, watching my diet, and work out every day. That's how I first started.
Did you like the workout as soon as you got there the first day?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't tell at all. King, what do you think about working out with your dad before I toss it over to Italian Job? Because it's been 5 years, right? And like he said, you guys are out every week. But talk a little bit about what it's like to be in your 30s working out with your dad.
I love working out with my dad. When we first started out, my dad encouraged me when he just mentioned earlier about running. I have a hard time because of weight, but now it really pushed me forward to help me get into more shape. And even if my dad's not there and has something else going on, I do the same thing with the other guys too.
Absolutely.
Hey, Gridlock, as a dad, you've got a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders, a lot of things going on. What does it mean to you when you show up and post with the King and you can just be one of the guys? You don't have any obligations at that point. You can trust that you're taken care of, that your son's taken care of. What does it mean to be just one of the guys on a Thursday night or any other workout?
It really helps a lot. Parents with special needs kids tend to live a little bit different life than typical folks. Our kids are with us a lot, and we can't always branch out and do what we want to do on our own, and that's okay. That's what we're called to do. But posting at F3 and closing time particularly, it does give me the freedom to move ahead, albeit slowly, and I can move on, and I know, like I mentioned before, I know someone's always coming around and connecting with Mike, and he's being watched, and he's never going to get lost or anything like that. That's a huge comfort and something that is much appreciated, especially in the wintertime when we post at night and it's dark, and sometimes it's not as bright as we'd like it to be. I'm confident he's not going to get lost going somewhere. So it's great. It's great. I love it.
Awesome. And the King, I've got a great question, or I've got a question for you. What's your favorite thing to do at a workout? Is it just hanging out with your buddies, or do you have a favorite exercise? What do you really like about the workouts?
Yeah, I love to hang out with my buddies. And also, my favorite workout is American Hammers.
Hammer time. I hear you, man. That's one of my favorites, too. Tommy Boy, I've never asked you, Tommy Boy, what's your favorite exercise at a boot camp or at a workout?
Full eye contact pickle pushers.
Oh gosh!
Hands down. Hands down. But that can only happen at specific AOs. It's not a great look at like an elementary school parking lot. But
that'll get you on a list. That'll get you on a list. We have a really
good time. You want somebody who has a Ring doorbell, and you're participating in a nearby boot camp or a run workout. Stop and give them a little good morning hello with the full eye contact pickle pusher. King, you recently, let me back up before I pose this question. Our goal in F3 is to remind men that they are freed to lead. It's kind of one of the first steps. It was certainly the first book that we all cracked open and got a really great look at what F3 is all about. So we challenge men not only to, pick up the six and leave no man behind, but also leave no man where we found him. And that's really the clutch move that makes F3 unique. And so, King, you were recently approached to no longer stay exactly where you were. And you were asked to take up the mantle and lead as a site cue for closing time on Thursday night. So my question is kind of two parts. What went through your mind when you were first asked? What were you feeling? And then what have you felt since, because you're about a month in now, right? What have you felt since?
Well, the first part of our anniversary, I tell all the guys that we started in the middle of June. And that's when Renaissance pulled us in. And that's what it's been 5 years. And this will be our 5th anniversary. And part 2 of the 5th anniversary, and ever since we started at 3, so I remind everybody, it's our 5th anniversary. So now I'll become a new leader for a closing time on Thursday evenings now.
What did you think about that when they asked you to do that?
I feel honored to be part of the group.
That's outstanding. I think that's the one thing were you ever nervous? Because a lot of guys get nervous when they're first approached.
Just a little bit, not too much. Not all the guys.
Are you nervous now?
No.
Well, yeah, because you're in front of a camera. You're never nervous in front of a camera. And Gridlock, kind of the same question, but a different spin. Just talk a little bit about, because you and I spoke beforehand as well. What I love about King is, King, you're openly interdependent. And that means that you rely on community. And I think that we should all strive to be more like you and be more interdependent and not always just vying for dependence, meaning we don't need anybody, because that's not true of anybody. And so, Gridlock, just talk a little bit about stepping back and watching the King take up the shovel flag at closing time.
It was a proud moment. I have to go back to when he was first born, and my wife and I decided right at the start that we we would raise him as closely as possible to being a regular kid, and we've done that. And so part of this was when he was asked to take on um, leading the closing time. I thought, well, here's a challenge. He's never done anything like this before, but we're not going to stand in the way because he's been quite successful in other areas, in whatever area it would be, theater or anything else that he's done in the past. So I thought, well, okay, let's do it. I'm going to push through my initial reluctance or nervousness and just say, okay, he's going to do this. But it's interesting how you mentioned interdependency because this kind of leadership in his specific area, he needs others to help him with it, which is okay. And he does the initial social part of it, and then there are others that are helping behind the scenes, including me. And so I think that speaks to what F3 is all about, is that we do need each other, no matter what we're doing. I just feel great about it. I think he's doing a great job. He's very meticulous about contacting folks and keeping a list with the date. He does that all himself. I don't get involved at all. And just proud of the way he's really blossomed out on it.
Hey, the King, what advice would you give to a guy who has been asked recently to lead a workout or lead a site, to be the site Q? What advice would you give that guy?
I would say faith, grow, and serve.
What would you tell him? Would you tell him to come to the workout?
Yeah, I do that all the time. I encourage some guys to come to F3, like my friend AJ Spratt, which is now Bolt. I encourage them to come to F3 because they did a lot of sports.
You're always
and you and Bolt are both Olympians, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great that you got. That was a solid EH too, because Bolt is no joke.
That's right. And we also will work together at Special Blend Coffee Shop too.
He's constantly selling F3 to people he runs into. Always trying to get somebody to come.
And last night I did my first workout with Non de Plume. So I picked him out to get out of his comfort zone and do his first workout with me.
He did. He said basically get out of your comfort zone and let's do a VQ. And he did very well.
Yeah, 18 guys, if I'm not mistaken. That was powerful.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think what I love about this conversation too, and what I hope that men that are listening to the podcast are hearing an opportunity to seek out new men to be a part of F3, to build up new friendships, to knock down old walls, to allow themselves to create new tapes of phrases that they can run through their head to approach guys. We're always looking for new men to put the the emotional headlock, onto. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we pause because we think maybe F3 isn't for that guy. Well, that should be the trigger to say that's exactly who F3 is for. And King, you've certainly been an asset to F3 Greensboro because I know that you have broken down a lot of walls. You are, as we just established, you're an Olympian. You just put out a summer blockbuster in the form of a movie called Spookmaster. We'll make sure that we link the Vimeo so guys can go and watch you in your movie. That had a huge opening this summer. I don't think there's anything you haven't done. And that has got to be it's got to feel great for you. Gridlock, it's got to be a proud papa moment as well. You've had a very storied and successful career also. And so to be able to watch the King step up into this leadership role, as you said, it's pretty cool, for lack of a better term. King, what advice would you give to anybody out there who has heard of F3? Let me say that again. What advice would you give to a guy who is in F3 and might look at somebody living with Down syndrome and encourage them to ask that guy to F3?
Well, like my dad just said about me, but my part, I will say just do the same advice like my dad just said about coming to F3.
What would you tell him? How would you get him to come?
You can come like a friend, or you can do well, if you want to come on your own, or find a ride, or just ask anybody to come to F3.
And when it's over, we get to go to Roadies and have a hamburger.
Yeah, that's my favorite
Yes.
part.
That is the best cafeteria in the land, no doubt.
And also it's for a special blend too. That's for our cafeteria too.
Yep. Yeah,
the
definitely. Once a quarter we go to Special Blend where King works. And that's a great time too. It's fun. Guys, if you're listening too, there's always great ways to lean in and create unique experiences. A quarterly cafeteria that pours a lot of money and support into a local coffee joint is a great way to do that. We're lucky to have one called Special Blend here in the Triad. Italian Job. I feel like I've stomped all over you, man. So I'm going to give you an opportunity here before we close it down.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been an honor. It's been an honor to actually put a voice with the pictures that I've seen. So the King, it's been so much fun talking with you today. And Tommy boy, I've said it before, I need to make a trip up there and just spend some time with you guys anyway. So when I do, I'd love to see you guys in person.
Come on up.
And I guess before I do my closeout, I want to ask, do you men have anything you want to share? Just anything that anything that you'd want to share with the guys who are listening? Any advice you want to give? I want to give the mic to you guys to just kind of share a little wisdom if you have anything you want to share.
Yeah, I'll let me say something first, and then I'll let the King answer or speak. Tommy boy, you've alluded to men who are struggling. You've alluded to the suicide rate, and the rise of suicide rate. A lot of it is because of isolation. That speaks to me. I'm very active in my church, and I'm studying being an elder. And one of my ministries is reaching out to people who, particularly men who are hurting from the past, whether it be divorce or abuse or whatever. And F3 is the perfect physical and camaraderie answer to breaking down those barriers of isolation. Connecting with other men, having a great time. You know how it is when you go work out. 90% of the mental up here goes away because you've worked out and gotten out of sweat, and you feel better. And that goes a long way when you're suffering from something. And I think F3 is just valuable for that. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great that it's spread around the world. It started right here in North Carolina. So I would say that is, if I were to say anything to anybody, I would say if you need to connect, if you need to have some comrades, you need to have a group that will really surround you when you need it, go to F3, work out. You won't be disappointed. So what would you think? What would you say about F3?
I would say just have fun and be with the guys. That's it.
That's him.
I was about to say, he just took all of that and summed it up in one sentence.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, before I hand it over to Italian Job to land the plane here, I just want you to both know that that I love you both, and I'm very fortunate to be friends with both of you. And thank you for carving out some time to be on Stuff Worth Trying. And fellas listening again, take this opportunity, because it is definitely something worth trying, to go out and invite a man who doesn't look like you to participate in the thing that you love so much. So fellas, thanks for being a part of it.
Thanks, Tommy boy.
Tommy boy,
land the plane, brother.
I've got something from American philosopher Dallas Willard. He said the primary work of God is finding men in whom he can entrust power. And the story of most men is being entrusted with the power and bringing harm to themselves and others under their care. I look at that and I think, God just wants to put a guy in to make it better for everybody else. And we step in and more often than not mess it up. So I want to encourage the men with a line from Spider-Man, but with great power comes great responsibility. So ask yourself, why was I put in charge? What value am I bringing? Am I serving myself, or am I serving those under my care? And we should just take that time to use our influence for the betterment of others. This is an example right here of a man who was asked to step into a role and take charge. When in charge, take charge. And he's done exactly that. And so then it's a matter of relying on the men around you to just keep that car going straight down with the guardrails on the other side of the road to make sure you don't drive off into the ravine. But that's our job, to take charge, to do the right thing and serve others. And I can't tell you, I don't know if we could have found a better man today in the King and his dad, Gridlock, to share the story, to keep us focused on the path. So that's what I have, TB. Love you, man. Enjoyed our conversation. Can't wait to do it again soon.
Sounds like a plan. Maybe next week, same time?
Same bat time, same bat channel.
I'm all in. We're just crossing Marvel Comics and DC. We might get sued. All right, Podpackers, as always, dominate the day, make it a great one, and be good or be good at it.
Love you.